Good afternoon. My name is Barbara Fuller, and as Chair of the Board, I welcome you to this July 18th, 2023 regular meeting of the Washtenaw County Board of Road Commissioners. Our office coordinator, Erin Smith, will describe how our meetings operate, how to access the agenda packet, and how people may participate remotely. Erin.
Thanks, Chair Fuller. There are multiple ways to make public comment during today's board meeting, whether you are joining us in person or virtually. If you're here in person and would like to make public comment, please fill out the sign-in sheet now. If you're joining us virtually, we will ask you to raise your hand at the appropriate time in the agenda. If you're joining us virtually and are experiencing technical issues with audio or video during the meeting, submit a comment in the chat feature and our communications manager will help you troubleshoot. The audio and video of this meeting is being recorded, and a link to the recording will be posted to wcroads.org in the next few days. There are printed copies of today's meeting agenda on the table near the front door and is also posted on our website. And now I'll turn it over to Chair Fuller.
Thank you. And I now call this July 18th, 2023 regular meeting to order and ask you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I guess we should have Erin call the roll, shouldn't we?
Chair,
Aye.
Chair Barb Fuller,
Present.
Vice Chair Rod Green,
Here.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Present.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum,
Present.
Commissioner Jeff Smers.
Present.
And the following directors are in attendance: Managing Director Cheryl Siddle, Director of Engineering and County Highway Engineer Matt McDonald, Director of Operations Adam Lape, and Director of Finance and IT Dan Eckerman.
Thank you, Erin. First up, may I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Make
I
a
so
mo-
move. I'm sorry.
make a motion to approve the agenda.
And I support.
Thank you. Any additions, deletions, corrections to the agenda? Seeing none, Erin, if you would please.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Jeff Smers,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum,
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
and Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes, the agenda is approved unanimously as presented. Next up, acceptance of two sets of minutes. May I have a motion to accept the board meeting minutes of July 5th, 2023, appearing on pages 3 through 14 of the packet?
I so move.
Support. Thank you. Any additions, deletions, corrections? Erin, if you would, please.
Commissioner Jeff Smers,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum,
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
and Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes, the board meeting minutes of July 5th, 2023 are approved as presented. May I have a motion to accept the closed session minutes of July 5th, 2023? Copies have been distributed to the commissioners at their desks. May I have a motion?
I so move.
Second.
Any discussion, additions, corrections? Hearing none. Erin, please.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum,
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Jeff Smers,
Yes.
Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes, the closed session minutes of July 5th, 2023 are approved as presented. Next is public comment. This is the time set aside on the agenda to receive comments from the public. This is not intended to be a period for dialogue. Each person will be allotted 3 minutes to address the board. Erin will explain how people may be recognized to offer comments.
Since this is a hybrid meeting with both in-person and virtual attendees, we will take turns between those attending in person and virtually. For virtual attendees, we have provided some instructions on the screen on how to participate and make public comment. If you're attending this meeting virtually and would like to make public comment, please raise your hand now. If you dialed into the meeting from your phone, you can raise your hand by dialing *9. Our communications manager will unmute virtual participants with raised hands one at a time and will announce your username or last 4 digits of your phone number when it is your turn to speak. Please share your name and address before beginning your comments. And for in-person attendees, we will start with those who have signed up on the sign-in sheet as you walked in. If you didn't sign in, you're still welcome to make comment. I'll notify you when it is your turn. At this time, there's no one that would like to make public comment.
All right, we will move along. Next are written communications appearing on pages 15, 16 of the packet. Commissioners, anything you wish to draw our attention to? Seeing none, we will bypass comment to follow up to comments because there were no public comments. Next item is the consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? Items 1 through 6, background on pages 17 through 40.
I so move.
Second.
Anything you have questions about or want to point out? Seeing none, Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jeff Smurs,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
and Commissioner Burt Fuller.
Yes, the consent agenda is approved as presented, items 1 through 6. We have one action item to consider today. May I have a motion to approve action item number 1, to deny the petition to abandon West Delhi Road, that section north of Jackson Road in Scioto Township. The background is on pages 38 through 40. The motion itself appears on page 20.
Madam Chair, that upon the recommendation of the Director of Engineering, County Highway Engineer, and concurrence of the Managing Director, the board hereby denies the petition to abandon the portion of West Delhi Road, north of Jackson Road, being part of sections 22 and 23 of Scioto Township, Washtenaw County, Michigan.
A second, please.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Discussion, questions, comments, Mr. McDowell?
Yes, Matt McDonnell, Director of Engineering. Just wanted to make note, this issue was presented. We had a public hearing as provided in the write-up. Since that time, we were able to put together a road improvement agreement, which was item 6 in the consent agenda. So that road improvement agreement is for the same road segment. So the developer or Lithia Group, who is developing the dealership, is agreeing to pay for road, improving the public road and for it to remain a public road. So they'll be paving the existing roadway to the benefit of the existing 2 other existing property owners. And that's why before you is the recommendation to deny the petition to abandon, because they have chosen to go the other route.
All parties are happy with the agreement,
To my,
as far as you know?
to my knowledge.
All right. Any questions for Matt? Thank you.
Thank you.
There's no further discussion. Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas.
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum.
Yes.
Commissioner Jeff Smurs.
Yes.
And Commissioner Burt Fuller.
Yes, action item number 1 is approved as presented. Next, we have reports. I see that we have our County Commissioner Caroline Sanders from District 4 with us. Good afternoon, Commissioner. Do you have anything you'd like to share with us?
Good afternoon. I would just share that I had an opportunity to attend my first ever Manchester chicken broil. And as I took that travel out to Manchester, I tried to pay attention to the roads and I was pretty pleased. I think we took Michigan Ave to Austin and then Austin all the way into town. So just letting you know, I pay attention when I'm out and about. Good work.
Did you enjoy your dinner?
I enjoyed several dinners.
Commissioner
I did.
Sanders, I want you to know that one of the team members here at the Road Commission is actually the chair of that event, and he's the 3rd generation. His name is Jeff Mann, and he's the 3rd generation in that family to either chair or co-chair that event.
Well, Jeff should just know that that is it could be a logistical nightmare, and they did a fabulous job. But I will tell you, I've never seen almost a mile of wraparound cars waiting in line to do drive-through pickup. They weren't even going in to sit down. So it was very impressive. First time I had gone, and actually Commissioner Light joined me. It was lovely. The roads were well maintained. And it was just a good drive. So just giving you a little, bragging rights. We're paying attention and you're doing good work and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anybody have questions for our county commissioner today? I don't see any questions, Commissioner Sanders. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Next, we have the report of the road commissioners, starting with Commissioner Smers.
Nothing to report at this time.
Commissioner Green.
Yes, on the 12th of July, I met with Adam Lapes, our operations manager, and we talked about the MDOT contract. On the 12th of July, also that same day, we had a chat session, but no one attended. I did have an opportunity to speak with our managing director at length. And on the 17th of July, I also spoke with Mr. Darrell Hyde, who is the chair for the negotiating committee for CRA. And that's my report.
That concludes your report. All right. Commissioner McCollum.
Yes, on July 10th, I attended the County Road Commission Commissioners Committee meeting. This meeting was about the 2023 Commissioners Conference schedule. The theme of the conference will be outside pressure, inside leadership vision. Some of the topics that will be covered are changes afoot in Lansing driving commission decisions, ? Why Payzer ratings on non-federal aid roads are now a must-do, and the future of transportation funding, and several more interesting topics will also be presented at the seminar. I will be moderating the special presentation of the 2023 CRA and Press Award winners, and I'm looking forward to doing that. I hope all commissioners can attend the October 22nd Commissioners Conference. That concludes my report.
Thank you. I'm making a note. Otherwise, I will forget. All right, Commissioner Yamas.
So I watched the virtual public meeting of Miller Road at Zeeb, the roundabout. Well done. And have reviewed the legislative updates by Ed Nayola from the County Road Association of Michigan. All of them to date. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. I will report that on July 12th, I attended the working session of the Washtenaw County Board of Commissioners, where our managing director, Cheryl Siddle, accompanied by Parks and Recreation Commission Director Coy Vaughn, presented an update on the state of the county roads and asked the Board of Commissioners to place the Renew and Restore 1/2 mil ballot question on the 2024 primary election ballot when they meet next at one of their regular meetings. On July 17th, which was last night, I attended the special meeting of the Sharon Township Board of Trustees, where they unanimously denied the special land use permit application of Stone Co. They followed the recommendation of the Sharon Township Planning Commission, who also recommended denial. Some friendly reminders on the managing director transition. Yesterday, we received draft interview questions. By this Friday, July 12th at noon, commissioners, please submit your comments to Nicole with HR. And August 14th and 15th, we anticipate interviews being scheduled those 2 days, those 2 mornings actually. So please try and protect those dates. On August 7th, we will be hosting the Southeast Council meeting, where the County Road Association's draft 2024 legislative priorities will be discussed, and we'll hear updates from the other CRA committee members as well. That concludes my report. Let's move on to the report of the managing director, her staff, and any other updates they have to share with us. Staff reports begin on page 41 and conclude on page 55. Cheryl.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Fuller. I'll start by asking you if you have any questions on any of the information presented by staff.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner McCollum.
Oh, I just want to say that getting 48,000 emails out and 54% open them is great. Fantastic. They must be put out in a way that it grabs people's attention and want to look at it. So I think that's an awesome job.
Thank you. We have worked very hard to make sure that we're strategic about what we send out, and that's part of why we have people subscribing. And then we can, when we're done with a topic, then we, stop that mailing list type thing, because we do want it to be relevant and not just another one of those
Right.
people just delete kind of things. So thank you. We do appreciate it. A lot of effort goes into that. Thank you. The only other thing that I have to report, which Commissioner Fuller did touch on, was last week I did have the opportunity, along with Coy Bond, to present at the county board at their working session about the future, hopefully future 2025 to 2028 road and non-motorized millage. I believe it appeared that the presentation was well received. There were some good questions, definitely, with respect to the types of funding, like potentially bonding at that point in time for the millage, a longer length millage, increased percentages of non-motorized, and then the type of work and the type of workforce that is being used to complete the work. So there were definitely some good questions that went along with the presentation. And so the next steps, I believe, from our organization is going to be, and staff will work with when to bring this forward, but that hopefully we will officially request the county board to put that onto the ballot, and we'll move that one forward as well. So it was, again, I appreciated the opportunity to have that presentation and the good questions that were asked as part of that. Questions about that?
Special thanks to Commissioner Hodge, who chairs he didn't chair the working session though. You presented at the working session, right?
Correct.
I believe Commissioner Somerville
Chairs the
chairs
working
that,
session.
and they placed this update as the first item on the agenda, for which I'm sure we were all very grateful.
Yes, that was very much appreciated, although I will say Commissioner Somerville did a very nice job of also keeping that meeting moving along. We were, as a presenter, nicely cued of how long she wanted us to speak and when she wanted us to wrap it up. So that was, I'm sure, beneficial to everyone in attendance that evening.
PowerPoint was great too, by the way. I think that was reflected in the questions, and also what I felt was an affirmative vibe from the commissioners on your presentation,
you.
as well as Mr. Vaughn.
Thank you. As usual, a collaborative effort on our behalf. All right, I'm happy to hand it over to staff, and we can start with Adam Lape, our Director of Operations.
Good afternoon, Adam Lape, Director of Operations. I'm here for a little update again this afternoon. The 2023 seal coat program, we're nearing completion here. We're still fog sealing, kind of on the east side of the county still. Hope to finish that even if weather permits, maybe even this week. So keep that moving. And then the local road program, that continues. We're still hauling gravel and limestone, both in District 1. So in this area here around the main yard. And then we're progressing our way towards the southwest, towards District 4 for gravel hauling here shortly. And the material storage building construction continues. That's why I had to step out this morning for an update meeting. Sanitary and water is installed. So most of the subterranean work is prepared. Next week, the final underground infrastructure will start getting laid in. It's actually directional boring the electric out to the building. So we'll take it from this building in theory out to the new location where the building will finally land here in October. And then next week, start hauling in the heavy steel for the concrete foundation and the concrete flooring. So that rebar and that steel that's in there to support that concrete, whether it be the slab or the wall, will get hauled in next week. And then the week after, they'll start preparing to install that, laying it out essentially to prep for the pouring. And that's when you'll see the large scale construction start. So that's when you start seeing things actually come up out of the ground out there, and you really when you do have free moments, please come see me. We'll walk you back there, myself or Dennis, and show you some of the stuff. We'll be pretty busy in August, so come visit us if you want to.
Adam, what is the completion date? I don't remember from the agreement that we had with.
It's end of October right now.
Okay.
Is how we have it set. And we've known no delay other than just simply weather. But the contractor, the subcontractor that does the primary building, the building that will be here, the majority of this build. They work 6 days a week, so they move pretty quickly when they get here. So right now I haven't exercised any issues, so we're making our way through it. So on we go.
Okay,
And that is, oh, go ahead.
we're on track then.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yep, we are on track. We haven't had any issues as of now, so.
Great.
We're excited for that. That's all my update. I'm here for questions, though, if anybody has any questions or. All right,
What's the high traction surface treatment on Pleasant Lake Road around? the
so
curve?
that's actually almost an epoxy chip seal, so to speak, but Matt's team in engineering actually oversees that. So they theory mill off the pavement, the existing surface, and then they apply epoxy and then apply this basically aggregate, which is the high friction portion. So we kind of allude to the permanent chip seal.
Do we do that anywhere else or have we done that? anywhere?
It's safety, yeah, it's safety.
Dexter.
Am I asking the
yeah.
wrong person?
Yeah, Matt can probably allude as he gets. Yeah, it's a safety thing. Matt can kind of fill in a little bit more, but it's usually in areas where there's need for more friction. So corners and usually funded by safety programs.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Right,
All right.
thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adam.
All right, next up, Dan. I know he was our morning man.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Dan Ackerman, Director of Finance and IT, and I'll keep it short and sweet. You heard plenty of me this morning, but I appreciate the discussion as far as the budget. I thought there were a lot of great questions you had, and we don't necessarily have to have a formal working session to ask me questions about the budget or anything. So just again, want to extend my availability if you have any questions at any time. Give me a call or stop by the office. Definitely love talking budget. So obviously that's been a big focus of the finance department, getting the budget documents ready. We're also working on the 2023 first township agreement billings. So obviously we have all the agreements signed now, but we're working on getting those first billings out, which is pretty exciting. So we talked a little bit about the Gallup and the Gallup poll and action plans. And one of the big things for the finance department was to hopefully improve training opportunities. That was a goal that Jamie and Tracy and I felt, they felt if there were more opportunities, or sometimes it's not necessarily opportunities, it's seeking them out. It's actually taking the time in your schedule to say, I want to focus on this. But there's already been some movement. Myself and both of them have already attended some trainings. They have some more trainings planned in the future. MERS offers training, McChrysip, which is our liability insurance, they offer training. Chris Quinter provided me a link with all this free training for all of our office tools. So Excel and Word, PowerPoint, and they're all free, which is great. So I shared that with the team as well. And so pretty exciting. And sometimes it takes, kind of looking at ourselves as a department. And, again, that takes time as well. But I think there are some good things already that are coming out of it. And certainly we're taking it very seriously. So also, I haven't talked about vendor ACH payments in a while. We're Barb smiles.
Ask.
Yeah, okay. We are hovering around the 60% ACH vendor payments to 40% checks. I think it's going to be a little challenging. I think the further we get towards 100% ACH payments, it'll become more and more challenging. It's surprising the number of vendors that say we can't accept electronic payments. You would think in this day and age, all vendors can, but we deal with some smaller vendors. So we're trying to, what do you do with that? Do you say, we're not going to use you anymore, vendor? Do you just say, okay, that's fine, continue to, cut them checks and mail it to them? We continue to see issues with the mail. I don't know if any of you personally have experienced problems, but the mail still seems a little problematic. One of the ideas we thought is, okay, if you will not accept an ACH payment and we determine we still want to do business with this company, there's either no alternatives or we like them for whatever reason. Maybe then they will have to come in and pick up the check. So we are not going to mail it. You will need to come in, and that's obviously a more secure way. Finance has a form that's, here, sign here. So if a vendor comes and picks up a check, we've got a form, check number and amount and the person that picked it up, and they sign for it. So obviously that's more secure than mailing it. So that might be an alternative to having an ACH check. Obviously that person that picks it up, they could lose it, or there could be other issues, but so we're thinking a lot about, again, I've shared with the board, I don't think we'll ever get to 100% compliance as far as ACH, but if we can get to 90-95%, and then maybe that 5% is vendors that are having to come in and pick up, so we're not mailing any checks anymore, that's more secure. So we're just continually thinking of ways to improve that process. Jamie Kraus, who is in the finance department, is really passionate about this, and we continue to send letters to vendors that haven't signed up already. Most new vendors that we do business with, we have them, sign, hey, by the way, we're going to pay you via ACH, and both Matt and Adam have been very good about incorporating that into bidding processes and so on. So, I feel like we're in a really good spot. I think, like I said, the closer we get to 100%, the more challenging it'll be, but we continue to work on that because I think it's important. And, if we could completely eliminate checks coming out of this agency, I think that would be pretty amazing. So.
Have you spoken with them to hear their objections other than we're not set up for it?
Yeah, I mean, that's the primary reason. And it's primarily like smaller vendors. I guess I refer to them as mom and pops, and they just say they don't have the mechanisms in place at this point in time. We've not heard any objections as far as, believe it or not, some would rather have a check than they don't trust the electronic transfer, which, everything I've read is 100 times more secure than actually cutting a check and going through that process. But I've not heard any vendor use that reasoning that they were not comfortable with us sending payment electronically. It's more, they say they're not set up, I guess, so, which is interesting.
And the facilitator of that transaction takes a bite out of whatever you're paying them anyway. So.
Yeah, right.
Commissioner Yamas and Commissioner Schmerz, no, I thought I saw your hand. Commissioner Yamas.
So we talked at one time about a bill pay system where the check is sent directly from the bank. You were going to look into that. Did you have an opportunity to look into that? Is that a possibility?
I have not yet. So I know there are certain restrictions we have as far as a government agency and so on, but my apologies, I do not have an answer for you on that. I can reach out to the county treasurer's office too on that. So
I know that it would be probably some of the same issues because the check is still mailed. It's just mailed directly from the bank instead of coming from here.
interesting.
And
Okay.
someone from here would have to input the approved vendor, and it works with the positive pay system.
Okay.
It's part of the positive pay system.
Yeah, and we have a certain process that we go through within our system. So I don't know if that would be another process we'd have to potentially implement, but if there's any other ways, it's at least worth considering. So.
Thank you.
Any
Other questions for Dan?
Okay.
What else?
Well, IT then, wanted to give kudos to Josh Summerhill. Chris is taking some well-deserved time away from work, and Josh has stepped in and continues to move all of our IT forward. And he worked this morning to make sure everything was set up for the working session and the board meeting, and has really stepped in and has done a very nice job. So just want to give him some kudos. And also the computer refresh program that he's working on is about 90% complete, which is great. Also exciting, the ergonomic desks. There's 25 employees that were interested. And so we're going to work on the ordering next week. Chris has set up a meeting with facilities to go over the logistics, who's on first, who's doing what. But we anticipate placing that order next week, and definitely you'll notice some excitement around the office because I think people are really looking forward to having these. So, and that's my report.
Any questions about IT for Dan? Are you gonna use the desk like that?
It's funny because Chris called me on it. He said, I noticed your name wasn't on the list and I guess I tend not to be a trendsetter. I recall when we went to dual monitors, there was some of the finance staff that was so excited to have them. And I'm like, I don't need that. I don't know. Maybe I just been around too long. And I'm like, what do I need with two monitors? And they're like, look, it's really cool. You can drag stuff and put one spreadsheet here and one there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I want one. So I wonder if that will happen with the desks too. I'll see some of my staff or others using it and I'll be like, oh, maybe if there's a phase 2, maybe I can get on that one. So, but I'm not part of the initial list. So,
All right.
Mhm.
Well, let us know how it goes.
yeah, absolutely.
I don't see any further questions.
Okay,
Thank you,
great.
Dan.
Thank you.
All right, and last but certainly not least, we have Matt McDonnell, our Director of Engineering.
Hello again, Matt McDonnell, Director of Engineering. Just wanted to quickly report on projects. Michigan Avenue at I-94, a reconstruction project. We're hoping that it will be open to traffic this week. There have been several delays. Our intention in administering the contract, they are beyond the schedule, and we intend to assess liquidated damages on that contract. So they've made several business decisions to allocate resources to other projects, and unfortunately, we have not seen a great performance out of them. The work is good, however, the timing has not been. Pleasant Lake Road, Commissioner Fuller, Adam did a nice job explaining it. It was part of a safety grant. So typically another example where we've done safety grants where on a curve, we will apply a higher friction surface to try and keep cars on the road. Ridge and Hack is another example where we have applied that. We also have applied it on a couple curves on Dexter Town Hall Road. So we generally speaking, Elena Yedikina and Brent Schlack do a great job of going after safety money. And a lot of times we're replacing signs also as part of that, signing upgrades, and then looking at that high friction surface on those rural roadways where we're seeing cars leaving the road from our crash reports. So,
Will there be rumble strips, center line or shoulder?
rumbles,
Mumbles?
that's a great
mumbles,
question.
whatever.
I think there are, I think they are
people come
planned for.
Across that center line.
Yeah, it's center line
Regular.
rumble strips typically. So I will check and verify. We're also doing another safety project on, I believe Dexter Pinckney Road where we have that in the scope of work. So
Okay.
I'll confirm on Pleasant Lake Road.
Yeah, they drift into the middle or they cut
Right.
it too far to the outside and have one tire off the.
And that's where those center line rumble strips do a great job of
Yes.
making sure that we stay in our lane. I too have young drivers in the house and that is a definite feature we've seen help.
Yeah.
So also in that neck of the woods, Parker Road, just south of Dexter Chelsea Road. The culvert is assembled on the roadway and the contractors on site beginning excavation so that we can get that culvert installed. They worked on that last week. So in the neck of the woods, you can take a peek. If you come from the south side, probably the best. Also, intersection project, road closure, Bemis at Whitaker roundabout in Ypsilanti and Augusta Township. They are getting ready to start the aggregate base. So laying down the aggregate base. Next would be the concrete curb and gutter, and eventually paving. So speaking of paving, we are doing a lot of that this week and the coming weeks. So we're prepping for paving on Main Street from East Shore to 8 Mile in Whitmore Lake. Right adjacent to that is Barker Road between US 12 and Main Street. And then in Salem Township, we're looking at 7 Mile Road from Dixboro to Pontiac Trail. And then a federal aid job for on Whitmore Lake between Joy and North Territorial Road. So that's the paving that's scheduled in the next week or so. So there will be a lot of improvements here shortly.
That all Cadillac?
It is, yes. So the vast majority of that was our countywide contract and federal aid buyout program. And then we bid through the state of Michigan, Whitmore Lake Road, because that had both federal money and state economic development money for our all season or designated routes. So good stuff. And that was competitively bid and Cadillac won that contract as well.
Okay.
So that's all I had. Any questions?
I guess we have lots of them. Commissioner Yamas and then Commissioner Green.
Okay, so the Michigan Avenue project, the delays, what are the causes of the delays? Do you know?
They left the job site vacant for a month.
No explanation,
They were other places, fortunately. And
unacceptable.
so we have a schedule. And that's why we intend to fully assess liquidated damages, which will reduce the contract cost, which is good, but the delay to motorists and residents is unfortunately, that's the most we can do.
Okay, and so do you know about the textile and Crane Road, textile and Carpenter Road?
Yes, so that is a permitted job. The project's being run by Pittsfield Township for the sanitary sewer project.
Right.
So they are, they have a full closure implemented on Textile Road and I believe portion of Crane Road as well. That project is taking longer than anticipated. That sewer is very deep. So I can certainly get you an update. That's all I know right now.
Yeah, because it's running behind, correct?
Correct.
It's not on schedule.
That one's more due to the complexity of the work.
Thank you.
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
And is there an anticipated date of completion for Michigan Avenue project?
We're hoping this week. But we've been hoping a lot. So they finished the top course paving. They have painted the road. They are restoring the back of curb with restoration. They have to install some, we call them pucks. They're basically sensors in the roadway for the signal to function properly and to, as a car approaches, to recognize that car. So that work, hopefully all will take place in the next day or so. So if you have any questions, certainly James or Aaron Burkholz are available. See, but we're all anxiously waiting and putting a lot of pressure. Florence Cement is the contractor.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, we frankly have very few tools available to truly make a contractor come onto a job site and complete the work. We set up what we believe to be a realistic schedule. And then if they do not perform on time, then they put themselves into a position of liquidated damages. And other than continuing to remind them that they are in liquidated damages and there's really no extenuating circumstances. They had good weather primarily, I mean, for the entire month of June, and plenty of time to complete the project. But they, at the end of the day, are also making business decisions. They know what the liquidated damages are, how they are being assessed, and if they're making more money on another job. We have nothing to force them to come on site and complete the work, which is unfortunate. There's a cost to the public with that road being closed, and we recognize that. That's the basis for the liquidated damages. And I know our staff's been incredibly frustrated and has certainly reached out and attempted to put as much pressure as they can on the contractor, but those are the limited tools that we have available to make the work be completed.
We'll also be following up with every MDOT contract, there's contractor performance evaluations, and for managing the project and timeliness, they'll be receiving a report rating from us.
No, I thought that was my imagination. Every time I pulled up there, it's like, where are the workers? It seemed like, are they starting?
The other complicating factor for that particular contractor, unlike Cadillac, they only have one paving crew.
Oh,
Do liquidated damages include any punitive damages?
No, it's a value that's assessed based on the contract value, the overall value, and it's for the the administration of having that contract open in our minor amounts of time, like for inspection and things of that nature. So it's not punitive.
Anything further? No? Didn't want to overlook you. You're good? Okay.
Commissioner Fuller, if I may confirm,
Please.
according to Brent Schlack, our Assistant Director of Engineering, there will be no rumble strips on Pleasant Lake Road. There are on Dexter Pinckney. So Matt was right.
Right, and so we, and looking at that as well, we have it in our contract, various contracts. That if we think that there's a cause for looking at center line evaluation, we can administer that, and
Would you please?
we'll look at that, absolutely. So Brent's listening.
Because there's
He
two
has
curves,
He has
right?
heard us in the cloud and
Hi, Brent.
Or his office upstairs.
yeah,
He's right there. I see now.
so Brent and I will take a look at that. And there might be another safety grant that will be an opportunity for what they call systemic treatments. So if you look at long corridors where we think it would be a good added safety measure, we can do that. A good example is that they recently were awarded a systemic treatment for Willis Road, where we went from basically city of Saline limits all the way to Rossville. Our plan for next year is to do centerline rumble strips. So
My preference would be the default position is rumble strips.
noted, very good. Thank you. Okay, anything else?
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks,
You.
Matt.
That's it from staff.
That concludes. All right. I will note that on August 1st, can you stand it? August 1st, we have a working session at 9 a.m. Please remember that that was a change we made in the schedule at our July 5th meeting. We actually moved that working session to August 1st. And then 1 p.m. is our regular board meeting. Virtual chat sessions every Wednesday from noon to 1, July 19th, which is tomorrow, Commissioner Yamas, and July 16th, Commissioner Joanne McCollum. 26th, I'm sorry, not 16th, 26th. If there is no further business to come before the board, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Jeff Smurs,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas.
Yes.
And Commissioner Burt Fuller.
Yes, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.